I don't know if there's been a lot of continuity at the quarterback position. I think they're three different players, and I think it's probably hard for a play caller to put a guy in that spot. You got one guy, I think, in Gunnar Gundy that I think runs it really well. I think he's got athleticism, and he can do a lot of the things that maybe they're accustomed to doing that Spencer Sanders had done for many years. And then got a couple of guys that I think maybe throw the ball a little bit and are more comfortable in that role and aren't maybe going to run it as much. And so I don't know, it's just been probably hard for them to find that. And probably going through a lot of the same things that they've had a lot of good players over the years and have some new guys in the program, and they're talented. It just takes time to season guys up a little bit, and they're probably going through some of that also.
I was going to ask that next. Despite the numbers issues, they haven't put up great numbers. They've got skilled guys on this offense.
They sure do. Yeah, they got a really talented group of receivers. I think their backs are good. They're always going to be good up front. I think the tight ends are tough kids, and so it's not. I think talent is not the issue at any position that they have. It's just putting it together, and that's what makes them scary. Is because I hope they put it together the week after they play us.
They look like they're showing more willingness to run zero, kind of between the tackles, and give them a lot more carries.
Yeah, he's a good player. I think he's taller than what we're used to seeing. Especially around here. We don't deal with those tall backs, but he's he runs hard. He is going to look for the contact. I think sometimes. I think you watch a couple of those early games in the season. He had opportunities to make guys miss, and instead of doing that, he'd run right through people. I think he's a tough runner that is going to be hard to knock backwards, but that's going to be the game.
Obviously, they count, but if you take away the 3 or 4 explosive plays you guys allow, we're playing really good football. Do you remind your guys that to get their confidence that they are?
Yeah, you bet. And that's the same. And it was the same in Missouri. There was a lot of negative plays and a lot of things that we did really well. And then, there's a couple that we manufacture our own problems in a little bit. And, a couple of things that if you did them 10 times, they wouldn't have turned out the way that they turned out, but they turned out that way. And so those things happen, and I think the more experience we get, the more comfortable guys can just take a breath. And I think one of the breakthroughs that we had in our game against Central Florida was, I think we pressed really hard. Certain individuals were pressing really hard to be perfect, and I think just trying to stress those guys, it ain't going to be perfect. It isn't always going to work out just the way that we rep it. It isn't always going to work out just the way that it is. You have to apply your rules and principles, and sometimes they get you. And if they end up getting a first down, it's not the end of the world. You don't have to, throw your day in. It's just got to go line and play the next play. And I think we did a better job of that against Central Florida than we did the previous 3 weeks.
How did you respond when UCF hit a flea flicker on your last play?
I didn't respond well. My anger management coach would not have been happy with that one. Those are the kind of things that we've got to avoid, because that was an easy picture that we just got lazy on, quite frankly, and lazy with our eyes. And 76 yards later, because I really felt at that point in the game we had just started to get our footing, and offense was rolling, and I thought we could have put the hammer down on those guys, and then to give up something like that and let them back in the game was foolish. I didn't feel like at any point in that game that I thought we had the ability to step on them a little bit. We didn't do it until really late, and so that play was obviously a sock in the gut. But we had a couple of plays like that just are self-inflicted wounds that we've got to correct.
Do you feel like you're really close to being where you want to be, though?
I do. I think we did the right thing. We made some lineup shuffles. I think us flipping Kobe Savage and VJ Payne around in the back end was the right thing to do. I think obviously losing Deuce Green is a thing. He's an alpha communicator, a guy that's going to be right 99% of the time. And I think this week has been really helpful for Austin Romaine, to get him more comfortable in his role, and which is a big one, and to get some other guys some looks at some of that stuff. I think we're going to see. Don't be surprised to see some more guys getting some opportunities that we took a good hard look at this week. That we're going to see how they do on Saturday or Friday, I should say.
How much does losing Asa there though kind of hurt things?
Yeah, he really rounded out our 2 deep, and he was developing. He did. He took his lumps too in the Missouri game in particular, but he was getting better each week, and we could see that. And we always had kind of thought that. I mean, it's the way it is when you're a developmental program. And we kind of thought by mid-October, we thought he'd be hitting his stride and we'd be very comfortable with him in there. And I think he was on course to do that. And so, yeah, that hurts. And that probably is going to strain some more guys. Jake Clifton in particular, who's just one of our smartest football players that, probably has the ability to play, not probably, certainly has the ability to play all 3 linebacker spots. And he's having to do that a little bit. And so, puts a little bit more on some guys' plates because we're thin and young in there.
Is Jake kind of the backup at all 3 spots right now?
He is, and what's interesting about Jake is he's probably one of our he's one of our best 11 football players. He's a really good player. It's just the role that he's in, and he'll play as much as anybody will play. It's just he might have to take some at Sam, he might have to take some at Mike, he might have to take some at Will, and that's just where we're at right now with the depth in that group.
Is there a particular benefit this week to get pressure just with your front 3 without blitzing?
Yeah, some teams have given them fits with some of that stuff, using different fronts and trying to manipulate protections and things like that. It's been a lot more 4-man than 3, but I think we've got the guys to do it. They did a good job last year against us. I felt like not letting Felix and Khalid get going by chipping them. Keeping a tight end in and just getting a piece of those guys before they get out in the route, and would expect to see some of that stuff. But we're going to pick and choose our spots, and try to keep this quarterback disrupted as much as we can.